Hello and welcome to the WAP podcast. That is the Wrestling Answers podcast, not the Cardi B song. This is episode 2. As always, I am joined by my wonderful co-host, Mr. Joebot 22 Gaming.
Hello, it's great to be here again. I think we got some good topics lined up this week. I think last week went really well. I think it was very well receptive. So thank you everyone for watching that, of course. And yeah, it's just good to be here.
You got any jokes this week, Joe?
I don't. I've been getting a lot of
A lot of stick
negativity. Yeah.
for last week's attempt.
Yeah, it didn't go too well last week, but I've not got any jokes this week, so I'll have them ready for next week. Don't you worry.
Gonna have to play it nice and neutral this week.
Absolutely.
No funnies this week. It's all about the wrestling.
Yes. It's all about the game.
It's all about the game and how you play it. I'm not going to sing the rest of the song because I can't remember the rest of the words, to be honest with you. And so we'll swiftly move on to our first topic of the day, which coincidentally is a match stipulation that Triple H has been in quite a few of. I don't think I've worded that right. Oh well. It's a match that Triple H has been in. He's had quite a few of them over his 25 years now. He's still not officially retired, so yeah.
Yeah, it would have been.
God.
Forever.
But yes, it is a Falls Count Anywhere match. You know, there's loads of them that I can't think of right now. But there are good ones. I'm drawing blanks, I'll be honest, yeah. John Cena versus Ryback. There you go. There's one.
Oh God, I don't even remember that match.
It was quite good from memory. But anyway, Joe, what do you think of a cheeky little Falls Count Anywhere match?
Well, assuming it's done right, I really enjoy him. But sometimes they can be annoying because they don't just do it well. It's just like they don't explore anywhere. But sometimes they explore too much, and it's just like it's too much just walking around and not actually wrestling.
Yeah, bit of walk and brawl that is.
So I'm a bit conflicted on them, to be honest, but I would say, assuming there's few of them in the year, I'll enjoy them a bit more. And assuming you get the right people and you get the right consistency of wrestling to, but like just use the props in the back. Don't just walk. Like pick a poster off the wall and just hit them in the head with it. You know,
a poster, just like a piece of paper, just
like a frame poster. You never see.
Yeah.
You see all these glass portraits. See all these glass portraits. They're bound to do some damage. Why not use them? It just annoys me sometimes because the creativity they could do, they're just not doing. So that's what.
Oh, I thought
that's what annoys me about them.
Yeah, I think for me, I just can't really think of any notable Falls Count Anywhere matches. When I thought of putting it on the podcast, I thought I'd have better examples, but all I can really think of is Cena versus Ryback and Edge versus Orton from WrestleMania 36, so last year's Mania.
Yeah, was that Falls Count Anywhere?
Yes, it was. Yeah, because the match finished like on top of a truck and in the back of the performance center.
I just thought it was the last to stand up. What was that?
Oh no, yeah, no. I think it was a Falls Count Anywhere, last man standing, maybe.
Oh right.
I can't remember. I just remember like they spent ages brawling in the back. Like they spent forever.
That was good, but I feel like it was very slow.
It was like 35 minutes long, and it could have really been like 20, 25 minutes at most.
I liked Edge bloody like climbing on the ceiling and bloody swinging off shit. It's like a bloody
It's like Rey Mysterio.
yeah. I was gonna say it's like watching Aliens or something. You know.
Edge is he's a xenomorph.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Exactly. No.
But yeah, I
Yeah,
think a
I
Falls
feel
Count
like.
Anywhere match. Oh, sort of overlaid there. I think a Falls
No,
Count
I
Anywhere
think we're
match.
just gonna say the same thing anyway.
Yeah, I
So
was going to say, I think a Falls Count Anywhere match can work, and it has worked in the past. Obviously, I'm sort of struggling to think of examples because generally a Falls Count Anywhere match seems to just devolve into like a hardcore schmoz a lot of the time. Like, you know, if I think about something like ECW, I was about to say WCW, but they also probably had a lot of Falls Count Anywhere matches. ECW likely had quite a few where they would just end up brawling into the crowd.
yeah,
But I think a lot of them suffer from the same fate that a lot of hardcore matches do, which is they just devolve into hitting each other with harder things until eventually somebody doesn't stand up. Like, I'm not a huge fan of hardcore wrestling. Don't get me wrong, I think hardcore wrestling can work. Like, if I think about like a good hardcore match I watched not long ago, I watched back Edge versus Mick Foley from WrestleMania 22. That's a very good
oh,
match.
brilliant.
Like, I think that was one of the matches that really like cemented Edge as a guy, as one of the guys in the company. Even if it wasn't for like a big
Yeah,
title and it was just sort of in the middle of the card, the fact that he was willing to spear somebody through a flaming table and get hit in the head with like barbed wire, like it was a lot like the Backlash 2004 match with Orton and Foley, which, you know, I think it says something more about Foley than it does hardcore matches, in that Foley's one of those guys who knows how to get a good match out of a hardcore stipulation. So I think he's an outlier to the norm, perhaps. But I think hardcore matches do work. It's just like sometimes it's all just hit you with a chair, then you hit me with a chair, and then I'll power bomb you onto a chair, and then I'll suplex you onto a chair, and it's just stuff like that. And it's just like there's no psychology there. It's just
yeah,
hitting each other with hard objects. But I think a Falls Count Anywhere match, it has a lot more room for variety than a hardcore match because the match can finish anywhere rather than having to finish in the ring. Like, for
yeah.
example,
Great.
you know, you could have Cena versus Ryback from, I don't know when it was, 2012. It was when Ryback was like, he was still getting his big like monster push, and of course he lost to Cena, so his push disappeared. But it was during his feud with Cena back in, I think, 2012, and
Oh,
like I think the
no
finish of the
clue.
match was like they got up on a big stage on the stage. They got up on like a separate stage. Yeah, they got up on a big stage, and then Cena just AA'd him off of it, and he fell quite far. I think he fell like through an ambulance or something. It was.
Ah,
I'm trying to describe it. I'm having to describe this from memory because it was quite a long time ago that I watched it. But
I'm honestly lost of when this was. Let me
I think it
Google
was
it.
2012, maybe Payback 2012, if they even did Payback back then. It was a long time ago. I think didn't he have a Falls Count Anywhere match with Rusev as well? At I can't remember what pay per view it would have been. Probably the one after WrestleMania, so Payback, like 2015. He had a really good one with Rusev. 'Cause honestly, right, John Cena is massively underrated. I think. I think when we eventually get to talking about John Cena, well, I think that'll probably be like a special longer episode because I mean there's a lot to talk about with Cena because his career is so long. When we start talking about Cena, I think like people don't realize he's had not secretly because most of the time they're main event matches, but people always underrated Cena as a wrestler. They always said he's a great talker and he's a great character worker. But he can't have technically good matches. But the thing is, he's got such like a large repertoire that it's quite easy to disprove this because he's got his no holds barred match with Umaga from Royal Rumble 2007. He's got the matches against CM Punk. He's got the matches against AJ Styles. He's got No Mercy versus Roman Reigns. Like, these are his recent ones. He's got like his entire US Open Challenge. He's got his matches with Shawn Michaels.
Oh, that was brilliant.
Like, he's got like such like a large repertoire of really, really good matches, but people just completely overlook it and say, yeah, Cena was never one of the best. I wouldn't say he was one of the best, but I would say in the company, he was one of the most reliable to get at least like a solid match out of, even if his actual moveset wasn't typically very like large. It was only like 2014, 2015 when he started introducing stuff like I think he started using the Code Red Powerbomb, which is the Sunset Flip one they do.
Yeah.
So like, you know the one I'm on about, where like they'll like get on the back and then they'll like do like a big flip. Like, he started using that. He started using that during his US Open title run. But anyway, this is completely off topic for Falls Count Anywhere matches. We've just gone on a big tangent about how good Cena actually was. But like I say, we'll talk about that more in depth.
I can't see where this was. I'm honestly lost.
It might.
I've seen Extreme Rules, but
it might be that. Oh, it might have been an ambulance match. You know, that might be why I think it's a Falls Count Anywhere match, because they're up on the stage for that.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, and he like AAs him through the roof of the ambulance.
I'm not sure.
Okay, well, disregard that match completely then, because that's not a Falls Count Anywhere match. I just got that one completely wrong. But Falls Count Anywhere matches, I think we don't see enough of them, and the ones that we do see are sort of bog standard. Like, there's The Miz versus Shane McMahon. What a match! The thing is, right, people rag on that match. I actually quite like that match. Like, it's very walk and brawl heavy, but there's like a lot of entertaining spots in it.
Yeah, I mean,
it's Shane McMahon. What did you expect? Like a Meltzer 5-star classic. Like, people were going into it being like, "Oh, this match is going to be awful," and then they came out of it like, "Oh, it was all right," but we still only give it like 2 stars because it's got Shane McMahon. It's just Shane McMahon tax. Shane McMahon is not allowed to have a good match.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was all right, but I'm probably remembering it negatively because of all the negativity at the time.
Yeah, because everyone was ragging on Shane McMahon constantly.
I love a bit of Shane O'Mac, but
I like heel Shane O'Mac. Everyone hated it. I loved it. I thought it was great.
Fair enough. I mean, you know the internet. You can't have your own opinion.
Oh yeah, really. No, you're not allowed to have your own opinion. People just rag on you for it.
Exactly, but no.
I
think we've pretty much summed up.
We'll summarise Falls Count Anywhere as they can be good. They have the potential to be good, but typically they're just not.
Yeah, I'm pretty neutral on it.
Yeah, I am a bit as well. Like, we'll talk about more interesting like match steps later on. I'm just getting like the schlocky ones out of the way now. So
next week, lumberjack matches. Everyone.
We'll do bra and panty match.
Oh God, no! What about
We'll get a female guest on
the one that Santino did.
What the
it's like
the WrestleMania Women's Battles Royal or whatever it was called.
No, he was against Alberto Del Rio's manager, and it was it
was like a tuxedo / nightgown or something like that match.
Yeah, it was really stupid.
Yeah. Crikey.
I hated it.
Crikey.
But no, we might get onto that
eventually. Yeah. Hopefully, maybe not. Anyway,
should we move on?
We'll move on to our second topic of the day, and this is a topic that when I was thinking of them, I was thinking about what do I not like about modern WWE, because as I think we said last week, we haven't really watched like a huge amount of the current product. Like, we watched obviously WrestleMania. Yeah. We watched WrestleMania last year because we did the review on it, and then I watched. I think it was up to but not including Money in the Bank last year. So I watched like some of Backlash, and I can't remember if Extreme Rules was before or after, but I think I watched some of Extreme Rules as well. But anyway, since then I haven't really watched any like pay-per-view properly. You know, I've generally followed it. Like I know who all the champions are. And like, you know, I follow WWE on Twitter and I follow them on Instagram, so I see the matches they announce. And to be fair, I did actually watch the pre-show for both Royal Rumble and Elimination Chamber. I didn't watch the full pay-per-view, but I watched the pre-show, and you know, like I knew some of the matches that were going on.
Yeah.
So I don't actively watch the product, but if the pre-show's on, maybe I'll put it on, right? However, what I have realized, even without watching the product, is WWE are getting very, very reliant on, especially in their women's division, putting the tag belts or having people challenge for the tag belts that are also like singles titles holders. So, like the current example is Sasha Banks is challenging for the women's tag belts at Fastlane with Bianca Belair. And this isn't the first time they've done this, because they were, I think they were tagging at it might have been the Elimination Chamber, you know. I think they were in a tag match at the Elimination Chamber as well. And it's really strange to me because, first off, Belair and Banks are having a WrestleMania match, and apparently it's going to main event one of the 2 nights at this WrestleMania this year. So if they're in a WrestleMania main event feud, why are they tagging together? And why is Sasha Banks, you know, challenging for these tag belts when she is supposed to be doing her own thing in the singles division? And why aren't there any actual women's tag teams? Because there were, right? You know, Sasha and Bayley, yeah, you could sort of make an argument that they were put together because they didn't have anything else to do. And then obviously they won the tag belts. But then when they reform, and I think it was Bayley was the women's champion, I think there was a point where they held all of the women's championships. Sasha held like the Raw title, Bayley had the SmackDown title, and they had the tag belts as well. Something like that is okay, I think. Like if they're going for a like a 2-man power trip, if we use that as an example, they're going for like the 2-man power trip kind of dynamic where they've got all the singles belts and they've got the tag belts, and they're like this like almighty force at the top of the division, right? The thing is, the only reason they're doing it now is because they don't have the depth in the divisions to build up credible challengers. Because who is it who's champions at the minute? I think it's Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler are the women's tag champs. I think they're 2-time champions because they won them
I think so,
back from whoever last year. They got put together just on a whim completely because Shayna Baszler just appeared before WrestleMania 36 last year. I think she started like trying to bite Becky Lynch's flesh off or some stupid shit like that. Like she was a vampire.
That was stupid.
It was a really weird feud, and I think I remember from listening back to the pay-per-view. I've completely forgotten the match now. I remember listening back to our review of WrestleMania. The match they had was just the most bland, boring shit ever. So obviously that completely killed Shayna's momentum. But in NXT, she was like this like big monster at the top of the women's division. So what do? They stick her in a tag team with someone who can't wrestle, and just say, "Yeah, just go wrestle for the tag belts because we've got nothing else for you to do." Like,
just go have fun.
Yeah, and even better, they just split up women's tag teams willy-nilly. You know, think about this time last year. How many women's tag teams did we have? We had the Iconics. We had I think at this point, like Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville had already split, but like it wasn't that long ago they were still a tag team. who else was there? Like, there's the Riot Squad, who, yeah, they're still here. So, okay, you got one. And then, who else? There's, like, I think Natalya and Naomi were tagging at that point, but they split up.
Really?
Yeah, I think it was something like that. Like, I think that was another case of they don't have anything else to do, and they don't have enough depth in the women's division, so just put them there. So now the Iconics have split up. Fire and Desire have split up. You've still got Ruby Riott and Liv Morgan, but they're on Raw, and the women's tag champs are on SmackDown. I think Natalya's tagging with, I don't know, Dana Brooke, maybe? I don't know. I know she's turned heel, so all I know is Natalya's turned heel, and I think her gimmick now is just like, yeah, I'm blonde, and I wrestle. That's it. Like, whatever. But they don't have enough credible challengers for the tag titles to be able to keep the division separate, which is why they're having to do this. And that's I think that's like a much bigger problem than some people make it out to be. Because you never see this in the men's divisions unless like the storyline specifically talks about it. Like, if we were to use the Hurt Business, which is the Bobby Lashley, Shelton Benjamin, MVP, and I think it's, who's the other one? Cedric Alexander. Like, it's their like stable, right? It makes sense for them to hold a lot of the gold, right? Because Cedric and Shelton, they're like an actual tag team now. Like, fair enough. They hold the Raw tag belts, so that's fine. Bobby Lashley has won the WWE title again. That's fine. I think, like, I'm surprised it's come this late in his career, but I'm happy that he's got it.
Yeah.
So that makes sense for like those guys to hold all the titles, because I mean there's 4 of them and they've got 2 titles. So like, I don't see a problem in that. Thing is, if Sasha and Bianca Belair do win the tag belts at Fastlane, which I doubt it, I feel like one of them's going to turn heel on the other. Like, I can see it coming from a mile away. If they do win the tag belts at WrestleMania, what happens then? Like, are they just going to have like a friendly WrestleMania main event? Like, I don't get it. Like,
yeah,
perhaps
sorry, there's just no point in having a WrestleMania match with no build. That was just going to be, oh, we're just friends. I just don't.
Exactly. I think it's a case of, like, Bianca won the Women's Royal Rumble. Like, from that, she should go into like a feud over the title rather than just be like, yeah, I'm going to face one of my best mates, Sasha Banks, and we're going to be really friendly and we'll have a good time.
Yeah, we'll be.
And it's like, yeah, it's like, well, how's that going to play into the story? Like, either they're going to turn on each other, or it's just going to be a really boring, like, heatless main event. Because, like I say, it's supposed to be one of the main events of one of the nights. So why stick them together like they're best mates? Because they have been on television, but they've had their opportunities to turn on each other, and they just haven't done it. So unless they do it at Fastlane, you're just going to get just a boring friend v friend match in the main event of WrestleMania. That's not what we want. Like, you want a proper feud. There's no feud there.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I personally don't really like single title holders challenging with tag team titles, because it's just like they already have the gold. Let someone else who's who's not as big on the card.
I think I did say about the 2-man power trip. I think that worked because this was Stone Cold and Triple H, two of the biggest guys on the roster. Like it made sense for those guys to be like, we've already got 2 of the big titles. Why don't we just go for them all? Something like that works.
Yeah.
But if it's just like, it's even worse if they've got like no real direction. So if who's IC champion at the minute? Big E. If Big E had no feud going into WrestleMania, which to be honest I don't know if he does. I haven't really been paying much attention, like I said. If he had no feud going into WrestleMania, and then he just started randomly tagging with, I don't know, Chad Gable, and then they got a SmackDown tag belt shot at WrestleMania while Big E is still the Intercontinental Champion, it would be to the same effect. Because why? What is the point? Because it's just taking spots away on the card from other people. It's just lazy booking.
It is very lazy, but I don't think there's much more we can say about that, really.
No. To summarise, we fucking hate it. It's dumb.
We hate
and it
it.
needs to stop. Yeah, we fucking hate it. I really don't like it.
Get
Joe
'em out.
seems just.
I mean, I'm not as angry.
Yeah, like it
But,
just pisses me off because I'd much rather see people actually like getting like chances on the card rather than just putting the same people in different spots when they should be in their own.
I mean, yeah, I
Get
agree
some
with that
nerves.
100%. No.
So our next topic then, breaking the
Yeah.
ring. What do you think about it, Joe?
I mean,
I know you've broken a few rings in your time.
I have. Yeah, I'm a big lad. I don't really. Oh, I don't really like it. It's just the same every time. It's just all the ring break. The first like what we're gonna do from there, and it's like all carnage and
Well, the
stuff.
match
I
has
just
to
don't.
end.
It just ends, and I'm just like, I just don't like it. Honestly, I think it's lazy. Like, I prefer a DQ finish if I'm being honest. And
I think
you know how much I
technically it
hate DQ
ends
finishes.
as. Oh God, yeah, we know, we know. I think
Uh,
technically, if the ring breaks, the match ends as a draw. I think I could be wrong on that.
that's even worse. I
Hmm.
thought it was like the first to stand up, but
I think it can end as either a double count out, a like the match getting thrown out, so it just ends with no winner, so it's a draw, or if it's like a no DQ match, just whoever pins.
yeah.
I think
Uh,
my biggest stickler for my biggest stickler for a ring break is it can only ever happen in the main event. Because
yeah.
imagine it happens in the middle of the card. Like it's Big Show versus Mark Henry goes on like 4th on a 7-match card. What's the next match gonna do? Because they're gonna have to rebuild the entire ring. Like, are they just gonna have like 10 minutes of adverts, or they're gonna have the match on the stage? Like,
I mean, that's true. Actually, I didn't think about that because if you
like
have
it can
someone like
only be
Big
like a
Show,
show-ending spot, a big show-ending spot.
yeah, if
Hmm?
you have someone like Big
Mm.
Show on the end of the card, it's not really gonna be an interesting match anyway, and you got a boring
Oh,
conclusion.
throwing shade.
No,
Oh,
no offense to Big Show.
dissing Big Show.
It's
That
just some of
poor
his
man.
matches are very boring, especially when it's like I'm big,
Wow,
you're big,
Joe.
let's fight. I'm just
Wow. Wow. Hating on Paul White after all these years of service.
I just don't like Big Show that much. I think his matches are boring. Like I'm big, you're not big, I'm gonna beat
I'm
you.
big.
Right,
Your show.
let's put on a show. But no, yeah, I just
I like his slap spot.
really.
Yeah. I think it's quite. I think it's all right. Only ever works on like smaller guys, which is.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it's most of the roster, but I think it's all right. And anyway, in AEW, it looks like we're probably going to end up getting the Shaq versus Big Show match we were hoping we would have got like nearly 10 years ago at this point.
That would be good.
When the Big Show could still actually go. Well, I say he could actually go. I don't know if he ever could, but when he
You're
still
hating
had
on him
Thunder
now.
Belt. Well, you've brought it.
How
You've
the
brought it
how
upon
the
us.
tables have turned.
You've brought it on me. You've made me start thinking about Big Show in a negative light.
But no, I
You're
feel
just
like if you
hating.
just have
Just
him,
hating because you didn't think the Big Show was funny. I thought it was great.
I've still not watched it.
It's good. But it's not actually. If we take the irony out of it for a second, it's awful.
Well, I might have to
It's
put it
poor.
on the watch list now.
Well, I mean, there's only ever going to be the one season. Now he's gone to AEW.
I know that's sad.
Makes me cry.
Yeah, I was literally about to say I'm gonna cry now. But no, so yeah, I think it's a boring ending to the match, and it's always with Big Show, so it's always going to be
Yeah.
a boring match anyway. But I don't know, maybe I could be proved wrong. Well, he's not in WWE anymore, so unless AEW do it, it's
Oh, they're going to do the ring break spot. Shaq's going to like superplex Big Show or something.
I'm open to be proven wrong. I am.
To be fair, actually, right? I did watch some clips of Shaq because Shaq had a match on AEW. And obviously, like I don't actually like actively watch AEW, but I did see a couple like clips and like gifs from it on Twitter, and like
Yeah.
Shaq doesn't look terrible for a guy who, you know, I'm sure he's only had like minimal wrestling training, and he's like in his 40s at this point, so it's not like he's a spring chicken getting into it. Like he looked all right. Maybe it's because he was wrestling some like light jobber jabronis, but he looked decent.
It was like Ryback when he first debuted. He was just doing like 3v1 matches. It was just like the skinniest guy.
Just squashing enhancement talent, yeah.
Same with bloody Braun Strowman, with bloody like James Ellsworth and stuff. Yeah.
Oh god, don't remind me of James Ellsworth.
You gotta love him.
Chinless pedo.
Was he actually a paedophile?
Yeah, he got done for it. Apparently he was
God.
he was sexting underage girls. So.
Oh god, okay, that's
yeah, now you don't like James Ellsworth.
Well, no,
Any
I
man
think
with
that's all
two
we can really
hands
say
can
about
fight in
breaking
Spain.
the ring.
Yeah, I think
getting into
breaking the ring is like it's one of those really rare spots where it's notable at the time, but then everyone sort of just forgets it and moves on because it's one of those.
that's boring.
I feel like it's one of those ones with like diminishing returns. So like the first time it happened, everyone was like, "Whoa, what the flip?" And then now they've done it quite a lot in the last few years, usually with Strowman, and it's just like
Maybe.
you know, it's interesting when it happens, but then you realize, oh, this is like the second time they've done it in 2 years. Like they're reusing their spots because I guess there's only so many things you can do to get over that this guy is heavy and strong. But
Tell you what, if you ever want to go bed easier, it's like a lullaby. You just put it on,
put on a Big Show match. Put on
well,
Big
not
Show
even big,
versus put on
just
Big Show
breaking the
versus
ring in
Brock
general.
Lesnar from put on Big Show versus Brock Lesnar from Royal Rumble 2014. That match puts me to sleep every time. It's like a chairs match or something stupid.
He'll be out like that, just boom.
Yeah, knockout like the knockout punch, which is the Big Show's finisher.
And it's just great. It's helped me. Recommended.
Mm. It's like the ASMR channels that like put you to sleep. ASMR
ASMR Big
Human
Show.
Centipede 4.
ASMR
That's...
John Laurinaitis.
Oh no.
I tell you what, show. You hit the
ASMR Human
bed.
Centipede 4. That's
Oh God.
a cheeky inside joke for all our listeners
Yeah.
at home.
Yeah. Oh God.
So, move on to topic number 4. Tournaments. Or tournaments for people who don't put on strange Irish accents. Now,
I will
we
just say
will...
this is a topic I know a lot about.
Yeah, this is probably more like my alley, because this is... WWE started doing these a lot a couple of years ago, and now they've stopped, and the only one they do anymore is the Dusty Rhodes Classic.
Yeah.
About 2016 time, WWE decided doing tournaments on the WWE network was it was all the rage, and I think they had like 4 different tournaments in the space of 2 years, and
They
about
probably did,
2 of them drew. Like, well, I say drew. Like, I mean, we don't know the official figures because it was WWE Network, and they don't release figures for non-pay-per-view shows. And technically, because it was a network exclusive, it's not a pay-per-view. So they didn't release figures for it. But I think the only ones from memory that drew were the Cruiserweight Classic. Sorry, not the Cruiserweight Challenge. Cruiserweight Classic, and the first NXT UK tournament.
Yes, I remember that.
That wasn't the one for the title, I don't think, because I remember they had
Title.
Oh, it was. Yes, no,
No,
it
I don't think.
was. No,
Was it?
the first one was for the title, but then NXT UK didn't come into like existence for quite a while after, and they had another tournament afterwards to decide the first challenger for the title on NXT UK. So,
Right.
the first tournament was won by Tyler Bate, and then he held it for however long, like 200 days, something like that. Then I think he dropped the belt to Pete Dunne on just a regular NXT takeover, and then because everyone was like, "God, that match is really good. I want a full show of that," we got NXT UK out of that, and we got like this tournament to decide here's who's going to challenge for the belt on the first show.
Right.
But then obviously we got like the Mae Young Classic, and then we got the mixed match challenge, and it like they just... I think what happened was they gave us too many tournaments and
yeah.
not enough substance to come from the tournaments. Like, my biggest pet peeve with a tournament is a lot of the time they don't really amount to a huge amount. I think a well done tournament is one that manages to bring in like storyline into the tournament. So, for example, some people were beefing before the tournament starts, and then they meet in like the semi-finals or something, and they have like this like heated thing to try and get to the finals and obviously win the tournament. Like something like that, I think it adds to it. But most tournaments, there's just... because there's no story behind the matches, and this sort of builds off of what I said like last week when I was saying I prefer some story in my match. There's no story behind these matches, like, and a lot of these times, because matches are having to go on like one after the other, like on these shows, you just get a lot of short matches with no story, and they're sort of like repetitive. Like a lot of the time, they're just like they do like a lockup because there's no like bad blood, so they do a lockup at the start. They do like a couple grapples, a couple punches and kicks are thrown, and then they start busting out like some signatures. And then one of them hits a finisher, and the match is over. Like, they're all very formulaic. I feel like our tournament matches.
Yeah, well, that's bound to happen. Though you're not gonna see some like extreme bloody like spots or anything. It's
Yeah,
it's gonna be pretty samey for every match. It's just
yeah,
whoever's doing it is different because of like there's gonna be like different movesets and stuff.
yeah. I think one thing that a tournament can provide, and like going from a negative to a positive, is it can give you a matchup you wouldn't normally see. So, for
Yeah.
example, like a tournament, it could give you a tag team having to, like, the two members of a tag team have to face off against each other. You wouldn't normally see that. Like, yeah, something like that. I think that it's quite interesting. I think tournaments where odds are stacked against people, I think they're quite interesting as well. Like, if we use the example of Survivor Series 98's Deadly Game tournament, which The Rock won, because obviously he was revealed at the end of the show to be like the corporate champion. I think something like that works quite well, where Austin is obviously the favourite to win, and the corporation keep like stacking the odds against him because he has to face who does he face? He faces like the big boss man and not Ryan Shamrock, Ken Shamrock, and like he gets knocked out fairly early because like the corporation come out and they're like, yeah, we'll make this a no DQ, and like they all like gang up on him and just beat the crap out of him. So it gets him out of the tournament, and like they do the turn on Mick Foley because Mick Foley's still in the corporation at this point. And everyone's saying, oh, they're rigging it, so Mick Foley wins it and he gets the title back with the corporation. And then obviously they do the turn, and The Rock turns on Mick Foley, and we get that lovely feud out of that. But I think tournaments where the odds are stacked against people, I think they work quite well.
Yeah, I agree. It's. I'm trying to think of another example, but I'm blanking. But I definitely do like the idea of that because it sort of gives it stakes. You know, it's exciting. You want to watch it every week. But just
Yeah,
simple bland tournaments, I don't really
yeah, like we use the
like
Cruiserweight
that much.
Classic or the Mae Young Classic. Yeah, the wrestling was good. Don't get me wrong. Like the contents of the tournament was good. It was just boring because I didn't care that much. Like especially in the Cruiserweight one. This was before like I'd started watching like indie and like Japanese and all these like other like promotions wrestling. I don't know, like it just pissed me off because I say it pissed me off. It didn't piss me off. It just bored me to tears half the time because they'd be going on like, oh, this guy, he's built his career up in Mexico and he's won the AAA championship and he's won the CMLL Lucha Libre triple tag belts 14 times, and I'm like, I don't care. Just saying they've won all these titles, it doesn't make me care. It makes me go, oh, they like him in Mexico then. Don't know why that means I'll like him. Like, ugh.
Yeah,
Like, because there's so many people I just don't know, it's hard to care that much. Because those tournaments were pretty much built up on these are really good wrestlers. So that's why you should care, because they can wrestle well. Like, half of them didn't have a character. Like, in the entire Cruiserweight Classic, the only people that I can remember having a character were Brian Kendrick, Kota Ibushi, and Daniel Bryan, who was only on commentary. That was it. It was boring. I can't remember anyone from the Mae Young Classic. Like I know Tony Storm was in it one year. That's it.
yeah, I don't remember much to be honest.
There was shit. I've changed my tune on tournaments. They're all crap. Piss
They
me
were
off.
rubbish.
Only good tournament was the one that Sheamus won the King of the Ring. He wore that
I
stupid
just don't
hat.
know much. I just don't know much about tournaments in the first place.
Yeah.
I guess I don't really have an opinion here. So
Yeah. Only good tournament is the G1. Like, there, I said it. New Japan for life, baby. But yeah, I'm not going to touch on the G1 here because, I mean, Joe's probably just going to be completely confused when I start talking about random Japanese wrestlers. Like,
oh,
I'll be like,
I already am.
I'll be like, oh yeah, I bloody love me some Hiroyoshi Tenzan. Like, you're just going to be sitting there like,
just lost. Yeah.
So I won't touch on the G1, but I will say the G1 is the only good tournament in wrestling these days because the rest of them are rubbish. They are shite. Yeah, and Joe has no opinion. So there you go.
I just have no
that's
opinion.
your wrestling. There's your wrestling answer. Tournaments are crap unless it's the G1 or sometimes the King of the Ring. Sometimes. Not when Baron Corbin wins it. But we'll talk about Baron Corbin one week. Anyway.
I think we'll have to.
We have to for the sake of the WrestleMania podcast.
We'll wait until you've had like a really bad week, and then we'll do it.
Yeah, and then when I'm like all like pissed off normally, then we'll talk about Baron Corbin. I'll just start fucking throwing hands.
That'll be the only topic for the entire hour.
I'll just start throwing hands with my mic.
But no.
But anyway, we've reached the halfway point, so we'll move on to our next topic. Wrestlers' catchphrases. Now, Joe, this is one you suggest. This was one you suggested that I put on the topics list. So I'm assuming you've got a lot to say here because I'll be honest, I don't have a huge amount.
Well, for starters, I love wrestler catchphrases because I feel like they're very marketable, and I mean, let's rat off a few that we know. I'm the Miz, I'm awesome. Woo woo woo, you know it. Fucking whatever The Rock says, you know.
It says Poontang Pie.
You know, John Cena, rise above hate, never give up. Like, it's just, I just love wrestlers' catchphrases because
come get some. See, there you go. Who else has a good catchphrase?
Let's just make a list and we'll give our opinions of some good catchphrases.
Austin 316 says, "I just whipped your ass." There you go. Like, I don't really know if that's a catchphrase or if it's just like one of those more like iconic lines. I guess one of his catchphrases would probably just be, "What?"
They'll be like, "I'll raise hell" or whatever he says. Like,
DTA, don't trust anybody, Rock.
you know, so let's make a list of some bad ones first of all. Are there any in particular you're thinking of?
I think I went to the wrong place. That's a pretty bad one.
God, who's that?
It's you.
Oh, you idiot! All right, I fell for that. Oh my god, that's not. Oh,
got him.
We're back to last week's joke already. Oh my god!
Can't believe you fell into my trap.
I was just like, oh, that's a weird one. I've never heard of that one.
I think I went to the wrong place.
But no, let's fix bad ones then.
Yeah, bad ones. I can think of like an old. It's not really a catchphrase. It's just more like a funny line from an old like promo from probably 2002, 2003. It was Test.
Oh, I was thinking Braun Strowman. Okay.
What's up, Braun? No, it was Test, and he was talking to his image consultant / girlfriend on screen, Stacy Keibler, and she was going through how all the big wrestlers, you know, they've got like their fans. So Hulk Hogan's got his Hulkamaniacs, Kane's got the Canaanites, and so Test has his testicles. Like, I don't know if that's technically. I don't know if that's technically a catchphrase, but we can include testing his testicles.
Oh my god! I didn't even know that was a thing. Oh my god!
Oh,
That is stupid.
What other like old catchphrases are there? Crap.
Well, this was a bad thing to suggest actually because I'm not really too sure.
Yeah, there aren't really, because the crap ones are the ones you forget because they're crap.
Yeah, exactly.
So it makes it a lot harder.
Anyway, we'll look at some bad wrestling catchphrases. Well, and I'll get up a list.
Ooh. See if I can think of any. Does Roman Reigns have any? He probably does. I just can't think of any off the top of my head.
So, this is the 15 dumbest wrestling catchphrases of all time. And I'll click on the actual thing.
It is the Shock Master.
Right. I guess we could play a little game. I'll say the catchphrase. You have to say who said it.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Little segment here. Guess the catchphrase.
Don't hate the player, hate the game.
MVP.
No, Booker T.
Really? Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I've never heard him use that before. Like the only thing I can think of
used it.
Oh, okay, that makes more sense. I haven't really watched much of WCW because the company folded before I was born. So
right, here's one.
The only catchphrase I can think of for Booker T is "Shucky Ducky Quack Quack."
Oh yeah, everyone knows that.
That's a good one. That's one of the good ones. Shucky Ducky Quack Quack.
But no, the next one is Destiny.
What, like just the word destiny?
Yeah, just the word destiny.
Alberto Del Rio. Because I remember he used to say in promos. Yeah, he used to say in promos, "It is my destiny to become the WWE champion." I mean, obviously not like that because I'm not Mexican, but to that effect.
To that effect, yeah. This one you might get. Choke on that slap nuts.
Oh, that's Jeff Jarrett. Soon as you mention slap nuts, I know it. Mate, I know everything there is to know about no dimes drawn Jeff Jarrett.
If you want
never drew a penny. If you want some, come get some. That is Jonathan Cena.
No, if you want some, get some. If you don't, bite me.
Oh, I have no idea then.
Rick Steiner.
What?
Never heard of that one.
Rick. I didn't even know he had one. Like, I just thought
I'm going to skip a few of these.
His catchphrase was, "I'm Scott Steiner's brother."
Right, here's the next one. You gone get got.
Oh God. R-Truth, maybe?
Yeah, R-Truth.
Oh yes, bang on the money. It sounds like something he would have said when he was in TNA, to be honest. Like when he was feuding with Jeff Jarrett. Fuck. It all ties back to Jeff Jarrett. Fuck it. Can't get him out of my fucking head.
Everything.
Jeff Jarrett lives in my head rent free.
Next one is holler Jarrett's if you hear me.
Oh, I know that. Scott Steiner. Start of his WWE theme. Holler if you hear me.
I'm not going to say the next one because it's literally just Mr. Kennedy, which obviously.
Yeah, well, we know that one. Is that The Undertaker?
Right. Get it, got it, good.
Oh God, I don't know. Layla?
Billy Gunn.
I thought his catchphrase was "I'm the ass man."
I
What
don't
a
know.
theme that is, by the way. When we talk about wrestling themes, we're gonna have to talk about "I'm an ass man." I'm an ass man. Dun dun. What a tune!
Yeah, we'll make this the last one because I just looked down the rest of the list and they were just
They're all shite.
they're very
I'm not watching
guessable
that
and they're
shite.
very
Bad.
rubbish.
I'm
Your ass
not
is
watching that
grass
shit.
and I'm going to smoke it.
Sounds like something Snoop Dogg would say. Whose gimmick was a stoner? Matt Riddle?
No. The X-Pac, but
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense, actually.
um,
Yeah, thinking about that, you know what? That does make sense. It sounds like something Mr. Sean Waltman would say.
it's I'll list off the rest of the list. So we got John Cena, You Can't See Me, the
Yeah,
Red
but...
Rooster, do.
Oh, Terry Taylor.
Michael Cole Vintage, The Miz,
Fucking
Really,
hell. I don't
Steve
even remember
Austin,
that one.
What?
Oh, what? No, that's a good one. He just standing there with a mic, just like,
I like
what?
us. I like how he's on the list. What I was thinking of that, I was thinking of one more bad one. Remember 2011 Christian? It was like one more match.
Oh,
That's
yeah. I thought
terrible.
it was like, they flipped the switch as well. I mean, because I
Yeah,
remember I saw he had like a T-shirt where it was just like a clip art of like an electrical switch, and just like in big bold text, just flip the switch, and then on the back of it had Christian's logo. I just remember that shirt, and it was fucking awful.
remember this shirt. No, I think that's enough bad catchphrases. I think overall it's
Well, like a wrestler needs a good catchphrase to get over, you know. I
yeah, but
mean,
also a bad one could
listen.
cement them as okay.
See, Elias is over, right? He's got a
Yep.
catchphrase. Walk with Elias. What's Apollo Cruz's catchphrase?
Oh God, no.
Exactly,
I could
because he doesn't
do a
have one.
backflip.
He doesn't have one, and that's why he's not over. Mr. Ricochet. Mr. Ricky O'Shea. Or Ricochet, for those unanointed. What's his catchphrase, huh? Why do you think he's not over? Because he wears gimp costumes, and he doesn't have a fucking catchphrase. Fucking hate him. God. This podcast, it always just turns into just me hating on Ricochet because he dresses like a gimp and he breaks COVID rules and he doesn't have a good catchphrase or any catchphrase.
Can we have a podcast one day where it's just literally you by yourself
Complaining about Ricochet.
Ricochet, Apollo Crews, and Baron Corbin?
Well, the thing is, like, I have nothing against Apollo Crews. He's just the most boring man on planet Earth. Like,
He is very boring.
to be fair, actually, No Way Jose never had a catchphrase and he got over. Well, I say he got over. He got marginally. He got marginally over.
Yeah, but his theme song was a banger. No way.
Yeah, that's why he got over. See, Bobby Roode, he had a catchphrase and he got over. Nakamura, he's Japanese, so we can excuse him. Does Roman Reigns have a catchphrase?
He's like, I'm the big dog.
Oh, yeah, of course he does. Of course he does, yeah. The big dog.
That's it, really.
Yeah. That's all you need. Catchphrase and you get over. Because look at who doesn't have a catchphrase. They're not over. See, that's a decent. I don't mind it. I think because Paul Heyman's good on the mic, he makes it sound less stupid when he's talking about it.
Yeah, but like, say
I mean, if Lesnar started talking about it,
yeah, true. If I was just like,
you probably get
it's my client, Brock Lesnar. He's gonna take you to Super City, bitch.
Take you to Super City.
Super City.
Take it to Super City.
Oh, that's our catchphrase now. We're coining it.
Taking you to Super City, bitch. Went to the wrong Super City.
I went to Super City. Worst mistake of my life.
Right.
Okay.
So, I suppose we'll move on from wrestlers' catchphrases and their lack of catchphrases in certain gimpy situations. But now we're talking about another one that Joe kindly requested we include.
I'm going to expose myself so much. Oh God, I'm ready for this. Right.
It's the Royal Rumble 2013. For those that don't remember what happened that night, that was the night that John Cena won the Royal Rumble, The Rock won the WWE title, and it set up the second year in a row that WrestleMania would be main evented by The Rock and John Cena. Now, Joe, I'm sure you have a lot to say here, so I'll let you take the floor.
Yeah, so I used to watch wrestling back in the day with my entire family. We used to go around to my dad's. He would record it on pay-per-view. We'd go around in the week and watch it. So this happened with the Royal Rumble, of course. We were enjoying it. We were enjoying the match, you know. And then John Cena won it. I was just like, well, not really what I wanted, but I'll go with it, you know. And then my favorite wrestler at the time was CM Punk, and I was really enjoying his title reign. I was just like, yes, go on for a while. He's not, you know, yeah. And then The Rock won, and I was a bit like, yeah. I enjoyed the Royal Rumble overall. I was just saying it. And when I got home, you know, it was obviously late in the day. I got into bed. I just started fucking bawling because that was the first ever time that wrestling's made me. Like, I was what 9 years old at this time. So, oh my god, it just made me. I just cried myself to sleep all night because wrestling annoyed me that much, and I was just so annoyed that The Rock won the WWE Championship. I was like that clip of Kid Behind the Camera. He's like, The Rock's not been in WWE for years, and he wins the championship. And he like smashes the TV. That was me. That was me in the. But yeah, I was just so infuriated by it because it's not even that Cena winning was annoying because sure it was annoying, and I don't even know who I wanted to win. Probably would have been someone stupid like maybe like Bo Dallas or something. But yeah, I just remember just crying myself to sleep all night, and obviously it led to the worst WrestleMania match ever, which was Cena versus The Rock 2.
I wouldn't say that's the worst WrestleMania match of all time. I'm sure there's been worse.
Well, it's one of the worst. And then we had CM
I would
Punk
say
versus The Undertaker as well.
Certainly, I'd say it's certainly one of the worst Mania main events, perhaps. I think there's been much worse than Cena versus Rock 2. I think you're overreacting a little bit to it. I think
I'm not overreacting.
You're clouded in your judgment.
I'm not angry, okay? But no. Should we go through the 2013 Royal Rumble card anyway, and we'll just
yeah, we can, yeah.
We'll just list off a few things.
List off all the shit because there's a lot of it.
Oh my god, Team Hell No versus Damon Sandow and Cody Rhodes.
Oh, the Rhodes Scholars. Yeah, what a tag team that was.
What the hell?
Good stuff.
Wait, Cesaro was the US champion?
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, because that would have been when he had that weird, like, his theme song was sung in, like, German or something.
Big Show versus Alberto Del Rio.
That's gonna draw some dimes. That is Big Show versus Alberto Del Rio in a last man standing match at the Rumble. Good lord, that's gonna put butts in seats.
Oh, I'll tell you what. The one good thing that did happen was Chris Jericho returning. That was good actually. I enjoyed that.
Was it this one that he came out at number 1, or am I thinking of
Dolph
not
Ziggler.
WrestleMania, Rumble 2012?
Well,
Because I know
this.
there's one where he returned and he
Oh,
came out at number 1.
So it's weird. So Dolph Ziggler was obviously Vicky Guerrero was his manager, and she was GM when she fired Chris Jericho. Then Chris Jericho came back when Dolph Ziggler was number 1, and obviously
Oh,
Chris
so did
Jericho
he?
was number
Oh,
2.
so what? He came in as number 2. Okay. Yeah,
I'm
that
pretty
sounds
sure
about
that's
right.
what happened. Someone
Yeah,
tell me if I'm wrong in the comments, but
like people actually watch the WAP.
they'll be gone at this point.
they're not listening to this. They were waiting at the start for the WAP joke and they never got it and they just laughed.
In the comments, put Joe cried at
Comment
The
down
Rock.
below.
If you got this far, hashtag Joe cried at The Rock. Get it trended.
Yeah. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a like as well. I need to draw up. I need to draw up a bit of what's it, channel interactions. Might start putting polls on my community tab.
Or leave a dislike. Wait, no, I can't say that for your channel. Don't leave a dislike.
Yeah, well, any interaction at all will get me on the will get me on the searches, brother.
That's true. Yeah, I always say on my streams,
Get me
just leave a dislike.
trending, brother.
At least I know you're here. But no, that led to me having nine likes and 1 dislike the other day, so I probably shouldn't have done that.
Could have got the perfect 10, like Ty Dillinger.
Ty Dillinger, yes, he always comes in at 10 in the rumbles. I don't know.
Yeah, well, it's because
it's
his entire gimmick was he liked the number 10. Wait, I mean, he hasn't been with the company for 2 years now.
They should have made him come out at 11. That would have been funny.
He got fired and he went to AEW. He had one upper card feud and now he just wastes away in the mid card.
Rest in peace.
His gimmick name was the Chairman because his gimmick was he hit people with chairs. So he's the chairman. Get it? See, this is why I didn't watch AEW. This is why I didn't watch it, because they're starting off with a gimmick called the Chairman. Jesus.
Sounds like a bloody comic book villain.
Well, it sounds like Mad Libs, where they're like they'll get like a Mad Libs for like a wrestling character, and they'll be like, so he is a good guy who blank like.
Oh, let's pick up a hat. Oh, ladder. That's a good one.
Oh, it's
ring bell.
It's ladder boy Kenny Omega.
It's just stupid. Oh god. Yeah, I think that's all we can really say about Royal Rumble 2013. Is I didn't like it.
Yeah, Joe
cried.
I think I've watched it once. Like I've watched and I've definitely watched Punk versus The Rock. Or that might have been just like I only watched that match.
I remember the final 2 in the Rumble was Cena and Ryback, which would have gone badly either way. Like even back then, Ryback was still pretty over.
Imagine main event Mania Ryback. Oh,
versus The Rock.
Jesus Christ!
They could have done it so well though, because
that match would have been dire.
Well, no, because if they had Punk win and Ryback win, they had heat.
Yeah, but we've seen historically they don't have good matches.
True, that is true. But still, it would have made me cry less, I suppose. That's all we can really.
Ryback goes over at the Rumble. Joe's balling into his bowl of cornflakes next morning. I don't know, Ryback. Why do you have to go over?
Why do you have to win the Rumble, man? At least CM Punk won. I know.
I don't care.
Well, it could have been Daniel Bryan.
Well, because he was in his tag match, opening the show.
He was still in the Rumble, I think.
He might be. I don't know.
This was back in the day where literally everyone was in the Rumble.
Yeah, to be fair.
They had Hunico and
no.
uh
Los Matadores.
who else? Wade Barrett.
Brodus Clay. Big Brodus. Yeah, 2013, that would have been Brodus Clay.
Big Brodus Clay.
2013. Would Tensai have left at this point, or would he have actually probably been in the Rumble?
Oh, I think this was when he started becoming like Sweet Tea.
Oh no.
It was after the fucking lingerie match.
Oh no. Don't make me think about fucking Sweet Tea.
Oh god.
Lord Tensai, what a shit gimmick. Oh my god. They just turned a very obviously white man into just like... They just looked at Hakushi from the new generation and went, yeah, we can do that with this big fat white man. It's fucking awful.
Fucking awful. Oh my god.
But now we move on to more pressing matters. Or more recent matters, even. The 2019 NXT Call-Ups. So I'm not going to include the ones that get called up after like WrestleMania. What I'm talking about is the first like 6. So these were the ones that got called up at the start of the year. So this was Nikki Cross, Heavy Machinery, EC3, Lacey Evans, and Lars Sullivan.
Yeah.
I think we'll probably best to just go through them individually as we see fit. So Nikki Cross. Okay. Nikki Cross had a bit of a weird debut because she debuted after Sanity and separate from Sanity, because Sanity came up, I think it was probably like the SmackDown after WrestleMania 34 they came up, and they just did nothing. Like Sanity just, I think they came up, they had like a tables match with New Day on like, I don't know, God, probably something like Payback 2018, and then they just disappeared off the face of the earth. Like, I think they got called up sort of just to make up the numbers, or rather to get them out of NXT, because everyone had been saying for ages now they need to be on the main roster. Like Eric Young is, well, he's not young anymore, he's like 40. Like, what's he doing? What's he doing in NXT?
Eric Old.
Eric Old Man. But
yeah,
she got called up like 10 months later, separate from Sanity, after Sanity had completely failed on the main roster. And her whole gimmick on the main roster, sort of similar to what she was like on the on NXT, but like obviously dialed up to 11, I feel like, because the WWE love doing that. They take more subtle gimmicks on NXT and then they just make them crap by making it like their entire character. So for example, Nikki Cross was like, she was crazy, but there was like a subtlety to it, like, why is she like this or something? Or like she's part of Sanity and like all of them are crazy.
Yeah.
But now, you know, you've got Nikki Cross all by herself on Raw while Sanity are withering away as jobbers in the bottom part of SmackDown's card. She comes up to Raw and sort of just does nothing for a long time. And then I think she got put in that tag team with Alexa Bliss. And you know, they did all right, to be fair. They won the women's tag belts. And it actually gave Cross something to do with her character, but it also took away that like craziness in her character, you know? Like, it's like Bliss sort of mellowed her out to the point that she's just like a just like a normal person, except she's still Scottish, so as normal as they can be. But
Right.
then obviously I think they split. Well, I know they split because Bliss got like kidnapped by Bray Wyatt, so they've split. And then ever since,
so weird.
like, she's not really done anything. I saw I think she was doing some like in character tweets where she was like, "Oh, Alexa Bliss was my best mate, and now she's been corrupted by this evil demon man who's fat and can't have a good match." And that was about it. Like, that's all she's done since. She's complained.
I was interested.
I've got a good Scottish accent, mate. I've watched enough Drew McIntyre promos to know what a Scottish person sounds like. Even though his Scottish accent is like not even slightly a representation of what Scottish people sound like.
Is he not actually Scottish?
No, he is Scottish, but he lived in the US for like 20 years. Or he has for like 20 years now. Like, obviously he moved back to the UK when he was wrestling in like Evolve and Progress and WCPW. But
oh god.
Yeah, obviously he went to work for Impact after he left WWE, and then he went over back to the UK and started working at Evolve and Progress, and obviously, as I said, WCPW and ICW as well. Like, he went back up to Scotland. But if you listen to him talk and then compare that to like just a regular person from Scotland, like his accent is a lot less thick. I think it's because if he had like a proper thick Scottish accent. And I sort of see this problem with Nikki as well. Like, she's sort of like cleaned it up a bit, I feel. They've like mellowed their accents so that the American audience can actually understand what they're saying. Because I can understand what a regular Scottish person says sometimes. Because obviously, we live in a country where there are Scottish people. There aren't many in the US.
Yeah.
So, like, they hear them and they just hear, like, they just hear like strange guttural noises coming out of someone's mouth, and they just go, what does that mean? I can't understand a single word that you are saying. See, that's that's my representation of American people. What the heck? What are you saying? That doesn't make any sense. It's just Chills. Chills represents America.
Just Chills. Yeah.
Number 15. Scottish people. If I saw a Scottish person, I would stomp on them until they were a small brown stain.
Oh god, not fucking Chills.
I love Chills. He's my boy.
To sum up Nikki Cross, I think
she's just sort of milled about, really. She hasn't.
Yeah, she's just there.
The thing is, right, we say she's not done a lot and she's sort of milled about. When we get into some of the other people on this list, it'll look like she's won the fucking world title.
Well, should we?
We'll move on to our next person on the list. Evie Machinery, as the French would say, or just Heavy Machinery.
You just
Tucker
love
and Otis. Tucker and Otis.
Otis has done a lot, but
Otis has done a lot. As a tag team, they didn't really get to do much. They were just like a comedy tag team, and they did get a couple of title shots, sure, but they didn't really ever do much in those tag matches. Like, they didn't show enough for people to say, yeah, that's a good tag team. What people saw was Tucker, who he was a decent worker. Like, he's this big heavy lad, and like he's still able to do like moonsaults and stuff. Like, he can do a couple flips, but he can work quite well, right? And then they've got the charisma guy, because you know how like the general dynamic of a tag team is one guy is like the worker, and the other guy is the big like the larger one who's more. They're not as good at wrestling, but they're more for like the charisma sort of thing. It's not like that for every tag. It's not like that for every tag team. Like, you know, if you look at Harlem Heat, Booker T had to fill both of those roles because Stevie Ray was useless. Like, have you ever watched a Harlem Heat match? Because if you haven't, watch Stevie Ray, like specifically in those matches. Because I tell you right now, he will get involved in about 10% of the match, and all of his offense his offense is like smaller than like Kevin Nash. Like, it's worse than Nash levels. His offense is a clothesline, maybe a shoulder block, a sidewalk slam, and a big boot. And then you've got Booker T having to do all of the heavy lifting. Well, not all the heavy lifting, because obviously he would get Stevie Ray to do actual lifting because he's a lot bigger. But like, if you ever watch a Harlem Heat match, watch Stevie Ray and watch how useless he is. Like, Booker T is pretty much always wrestling a 2v1 handicap match. But anyway, back to Heavy Machinery. Otis was the more like charismatic guy. People like latched onto him because Otis he's not exactly like a looker, if I do say.
No.
He is a very round man with a strange face and a funny way of talking.
Yes.
And for some reason, that got him over. just being, you know, this strange,
dumb,
oddly charismatic character. And he managed to get over. And like, obviously that led to, he got like a singles push because he got put in started as like a joke thing where like he falls in love with Mandy Rose because Mandy Rose is like, you know, she's this really like good looking, yeah, she's this like good looking, fit, blonde haired, you know, what's her gimmick name? It's like the Golden Goddess, right? That's what Corey Graves always called her. So like, she's like the other end of the spectrum from Otis, who's just this short, round, funny-looking man. He's really hairy and sweaty, like a neck beard.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I prefer Otis to Tucker, and I liked him winning Money in the Bank. I was really up for that.
Yeah, I think Otis winning Money in the Bank, I think it's a good idea on paper, but I also think what they did with it is probably better because I'll be honest, Otis is not main event material. Like, you know,
no.
I think once he's in that picture, that's when the joke has gone too far because you know, let's not beat around the bush here. He's a comedy guy. Like, he's there for people to be like, some wrestling fans will be like, I relate to that short, fat, round man. And then everyone else who's like normal will say, look at the funny round man. Look how funny it is that he's in love with what many people would consider to be like the most beautiful person in the company.
Yeah. Yawning, sorry. But
yawning.
My
podcast.
I'll tell you.
God.
I'll tell you what. I really enjoy the elimination spot where he elimination chamber, sorry, where he goes through the wall. I just really love that spot. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all I can really say about him. I love that spot.
Mm. So
I love him solo.
All in all, for Heavy Machinery, Tucker, there's not a lot to say. He's boring.
Not a lot there.
But then Otis is the funny fat man, and we have to commend him for getting to the spot he was in. We love him for being funny and spherical. Our next topic, there's not a lot to love for our next man. That is Ethan Carter III, or as WWE refused to call him Ethan Carter III. They just only ever called him EC3. Obviously, Ethan Carter III was his name from TNA. It made sense in TNA because his gimmick was he was the nephew of Dixie Carter, the owner of the promotion. And his gimmick was he was this like rich, stuck-up, like almost like a kid who was just like, I'm entitled to everything because my aunt owns the company. But the thing is, when they carried that name over to WWE, didn't make any sense. Or it did, but then there's no relevance to his name. Because he had a name in WWE, and it was Derek Bateman, which, I mean, to be fair, EC3 is probably a better name than Derek Bateman, because nobody's going to get over with a name like that. But EC3, they could have given him a new name, rather than use the EC3 name that he built up in TNA. And, you know, he became a main eventer in TNA. He won their world title. He won their equivalent of the Intercontinental Championship. You know, he got over in TNA with EC3, the character of EC3. He comes into WWE, and because there's no, obviously, Dixie Carter, there's no relation between her and WWE other than, like, she knows Vince McMahon and, you know, she worked with Kurt Angle in TNA.
Yeah.
Like, there's no direct relationship between the Fed and Dixie. It doesn't work. You can't have that same character. You can keep the name, perhaps, but then you have to change his character. But WWE didn't do anything with his character. Not even NXT did anything with his character. Because he came in, debuted in the it was like the North American title ladder match, where they debuted the title. And to be fair, that match is one of my favorite NXT matches. It's one of the very few WWE matches of the last however many years to actually get a 5-star rating from Meltzer. But I don't really care what Meltzer says anymore, but like, it was a very, very good match. So yeah, fair enough. After that, he went into a feud with, I think it was the Velveteen Dream. I think. I can't remember, I'll be honest. I haven't really looked this up. I'm having to go off the top of my head because I don't care about EC3. Like, I will say this now, I don't really care. But I think he went into a feud with the Velveteen Dream. And they had a match that was fine. Like, for an NXT takeover, it was not great, but you know, it showed that he could have good matches in NXT, and you know, Velveteen Dream is not like the world's most technically proficient wrestler. You know, he's not like the best wrestler in the world or anything. He's more like a flamboyance, like story kind of a guy. Like, he'll build around a story. You know, my favorite Velveteen Dream match was the one with Aleister Black, where the whole story was Velveteen Dream was trying to get validation from Black and trying to get him to say his name and like validate him as a person. And like, you know, you laugh at it. The match was really, really, really good. Like, it's one of my favorite NXT matches.
That's
and like,
it was,
yeah, but it was like one of Velveteen's first takeover matches, and it was when he debuted the I like to call them the Rick Rude jocks. So like, he came out with his tights that they're all like spray painted with like the opponent's like faces and stuff. Yeah, you know the kind of ones I'm on about. Like, Rick Rude made him famous.
Yeah.
So like, he comes out wearing them. That was a good match, but obviously we're talking about EC3 here, not Velveteen Dream. There's a lot to talk about for Velveteen Dream, so we might have to leave that for another episode. But EC3, he had his little feud with Velveteen, and then he just sort of disappeared off television for a while. Like, he wasn't on NXT regularly. He just disappeared off NXT. Then, in about December 2018 time, so this was within the same year he joined NXT, he was part of the six who got called up.
Which weird. It's just weird.
Yeah, which, to be fair, looking at EC3, like, the guy he's like ready built for the main event, or like the main card at least, because they could have probably translated his character from TNA straight to the main roster, and I think a lot of people would have been like, you know what, that works. Could have had him like with could have had him tag in with AJ Styles, get the TNA boys back together, But then when he debuts on the main event, not the main event, sorry, the main roster, his gimmick was just that he posed in the mirror for a couple of weeks, and then he comes out. He has like his proper, like, actually not backstage debut. He's scheduled to have an interview with Alexa Bliss, and like the whole thing before it is like Alexa Bliss is like checking him out, like, oh, look at him, he's fit, isn't he? And then as he's about to say something, I think Nia Jax comes out and interrupts him, and then Nia Jax leaves, and then he's about to say something again, and then Dean Ambrose comes out and interrupts him, and like Dean Ambrose is like, oh, come on, say something to me then. And then EC3, he has the mic in his hands, and Dean Ambrose isn't going to interrupt him. And he just doesn't say anything, and then he just like punches him. So his gimmick on the main roster is that he's mute and he's fit. He doesn't say anything on the main roster. You took the guy whose strength was his mic skills and you made him mute. That is a surefire way to get somebody over, WWE. Congratulations.
Like I remember, like when it was when NXT was like the game show,
Yeah,
like
he was
really
he
good
was
on
good.
the mic.
Yeah, he was good. He was really, really good on the mic. He was put with Daniel Bryan, and they had some like actually funny like promo work. Like, they could have just, all they had to do was let him talk, because that's his strength.
Yeah.
He's a really, really, really good talker, and he can work, but that's not his strength. That's why he doesn't really fit NXT, because NXT is more for the people that can work, right? Less for the gimmick guys. The gimmick guys go straight to the main roster unless you're Velveteen Dream. So he didn't fit on NXT. So what they should have done is they should have brought him to the main roster, and they should have booked him well.
Yeah.
But instead, they made him a mute. They put him in a feud with Dean Ambrose that lasted about 3 weeks, because Dean Ambrose left the company. So, of course, they had Dean Ambrose job out to EC3 on his debut, because he's leaving, obviously. Then he's not even in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal at that WrestleMania. So that's a pretty bad sign. Then he doesn't have a single match on Raw for about 7 months. His only matches were on main event. He appears in a couple backstage segments where they, when they get like all the jobbers together for like a party scene or something, or like he's in a couple of them, and that's it. And then he just gets let go in 2020 when they did the COVID cost cuts. He just gets let go like that.
Just that's that.
Like, I don't understand what WWE did there, because EC3 is probably one of the guys that people are going to look back on in WWE and say, why did he not succeed? Because he had everything. He could talk, he was big, he was sweaty. Like, he was everything Vince McMahon looks for in a main eventer.
And they just messed him up.
He just did nothing with him. Like, he could have at least put him in like a secondary title feud at some point, but no, he did fuck all, and that ruined him on the main event. The Fed did nothing with him. They didn't even do anything with him in NXT, for God's sake. Like, his entire run was just a mistake, and now he's signed for Ring of Honor. This isn't like the Ring of Honor of old with like Daniel Bryan, Nigel McGuinness, AJ Styles, Adam Cole. This is the Ring of Honor where their biggest star is Marty Scurll, and he's not even on a permanent contract. Like, this is a dying Ring of Honor, because everyone who was good in Ring of Honor went to AEW. They've lost all of their talent now. And now they're stuck with EC3 and Marty Scurll.
Well,
you can tell I'm getting genuinely angry about this because the way they booked EC3 pisses me off.
Right, I think we should
we'll move on. We'll move on because I don't want to keep getting angry about EC3. So we'll move on to Lacey Evans. Lacey Evans, I think, is probably one of the most successful call-ups.
Oh yeah, the most successful. I hate the current thing though. I think
technically she isn't. I think technically the most successful call-up is Nikki Cross actually, because Nikki Cross has won silverware, and then Otis is like second. Lacey Evans hasn't actually won any title. Lacey Evans hasn't won any titles, but she has actually been in the main event.
For them.
Yeah, she's challenged for the women's title. Like she's been in like the main event picture and stuff. You know, she got the. I think she had the first women's match ever in Saudi Arabia with Natalia. Which, like that's a big achievement. The fact that she got picked for that is like it's a huge thing. But she hasn't really done like other than being in these opportunities. She hasn't actually done much. But it's because she's not very good. I think she was called up too soon because if you look at what she's done on the main roster, for ages she was lambasted for not being good enough for the main roster. And it showed. Like her match quality was poor. She was put into positions she shouldn't have been in. You know, she was put in like main event, maybe not main event, but like big title match pictures with Becky Lynch, and obviously she main evented Extreme Rules 2019 or whatever it was with that mixed tag match with Baron Corbin where Lesnar cashed in on Rollins. So she was put into the title scene way too early. But the thing is, in the WWE, because there's no secondary women's belt other than the tag belts, if you're not in the title picture, you're not doing anything.
Yeah. Which I think is why they got the Charlotte Flair.
Charlotte Flair, yeah, that because that's at least doing something, right? It's at least doing something.
Yeah.
So if she wasn't put in that position, she gets called up, and she just doesn't do anything, we'd be calling it a failure because you expect your NXT call-ups to do something, right?
Yeah.
I mean, for the most part, NXT call-ups actually don't really end up doing anything. Bo Dallas, for example. Like,
oh god.
Bo Dallas will every once in a while get a push in a tag team, win the belts in like a comedy match, and then fall back down the card again when they lose him.
I think he won like an Intercontinental Championship once. Although I might be.
No, maybe I don't know. I know Curtis Axel won. I know Curtis Axel won it. But yeah. Talking about Lacey Evans more, since her match with Natalia, other than this feud with Charlotte Flair, she actually hasn't done much. Like she turned face, and she really just hasn't done a lot. Like she hasn't been in the title picture much. I think she had a small feud with Bayley over the SmackDown Women's title last year. When they weren't just doing Bayley versus Asuka for the 97th time. But I think she's gonna go down probably a lot more. Like she's gonna win more. I feel like it's only a matter of time before they put the belt on her because she has a character. So therefore, the WWE quite like pushing her, and like she's only ever worked for the WWE. Like she's a homegrown talent, like a lot of the women's division is, to be fair. Like, if you think about it, there aren't really many like external women's wrestlers in the WWE these days, other than like in NXT.
Yeah.
Because on the main roster, I mean, I guess you can say Natalya because she was like in Stampede Wrestling before that went under. And then she moved to the WWE in 2008, which is ridiculous. She's been here 13 years and she's won 2 titles. But yeah, like she'll probably get a push because she's like homegrown talent. And she's got a character, she's got a fairly unique look. She's not awful anymore, like in the ring. I wouldn't say she's good. I think that's a bit of a strong word for her. She's just like average. Yeah, she's just average. Like, other than her character, she's dime a dozen. Because she's not even super great on the mic. But I feel like because she has that character, and because she has the look that Vince McMahon seems to fucking love in his women's champions, because she looks fairly similar to Charlotte if you think about it. Like, you know, tallish, like muscular build, blonde. Very similar to Charlotte. She's got everything that Vince McMahon wants in like a women's champion, other than being able to talk very well. And like I think that's why they keep putting it on Charlotte to carry the women's division, is because other than Sasha, Bayley, and Becky, and obviously Becky's off on maternity leave, other than Sasha, Bayley, and Becky, there's nobody big enough in the women's division to carry the show. And I think they want to turn Lacey into that, but they just don't have, like, she's not good enough to be it just yet. I feel like if they'd have left her in NXT to develop more, rather than having to be on the main roster and, you know, having like the harsher light of, you know, putting her in a main event when she's only, you know, she was only on NXT for like a year or so, and now she's main eventing pay-per-views. I think putting that harsh light on her probably hasn't helped her. At least it didn't help her then, but now, like, it has helped her looking at it. So
yeah,
Lacey Evans, she hasn't done a lot so far, and I think her call-up has been underwhelming. But of all the call-ups here, I think she's the one with the most potential to go somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
And now we go on to the one with by far the least. Mr.
Oh, is he even in the company anymore?
Nope, he got fired.
Right.
With good cause. Yeah, he... Oh, baby. Oh, God. I hate Lars Sullivan.
I second that.
It's a strong word, but I hate Lars Sullivan. He can't talk. He can't work. He looks like a mong. He's a homophobe. He's a racist.
Yeah.
He's just the fucking worst. And like, do you know what his first gimmick was when he debuted on the main roster, other than just like beating up legends? He started beating up Hispanics. The first thing he did, other than beat up like legends, which still couldn't get him over, was he went directly into a feud with Lucha House Party and he just kept battering small Mexican men. That is...
Oh, it's so
I can't believe WWE decided, because at this point, right, the allegations of him being like a horrendous racist had already come out. And like a lot of the WWE locker room had already disavowed him. Like I remember seeing like the New Day, like I think one of them actually tweeted about like the leaks and stuff of like his old like Reddit account. And like they were like, yeah, I don't want to work with this guy. And the first fucking feud they put him in was with people of a minority.
Yeah.
I don't understand how they thought that was a good idea. Thankfully for all of us, not him obviously, but who gives a fuck? He got injured, so he disappeared off television. And then, while he was injured, WWE actually took these allegations seriously. And they fined him, like, quite a bit of money. So, he got fined for being a big stinking homophobe and racist. Then it came out that in his younger days, he was also a gay porn star. Now, there's nothing wrong with that.
I did not know this, but
yeah, there's nothing wrong with making gay porn. If you want to do that, you do that, Lars. But it doesn't really fit with WWE's family-friendly image. And it also doesn't fit with his own image of being a raging homophobe. So I think WWE saw all this controversy and just said, you know what, even when you come back from your injury, you're not getting on television, son. So he recovered from his injury fairly soon, and he just wasn't on TV for a year. Then he did return on SmackDown a couple months ago. I think he had a mini feud. He lost it, and he got fired. Like, you know when Big Cass returned, and he had his feud with Daniel Bryan, and he lost it, and he got fired the next night. He got fired the day after he lost his match with Daniel Bryan. It's something like that. But Big Cass wasn't as bad of a guy as Lars Sullivan, because at least Big Cass wasn't a raging racist and homophobe.
Yeah, I think Lars Sullivan he's just
a bad guy. Asshole. He's just a bad guy. And he wasn't good at wrestling. He couldn't talk. His gimmick was dog shit. Like, he spoke in poems. Who the fuck thinks that's gonna get over? No, genuinely. Like, he gave a promo on SmackDown before he got injured, and he's talking to Kayla Braxton, which I feel sorry for her and stand next to him. But his entire promo, he just spoke in riddles and poems and shit, and it's like, mate, fucking bore off, just leave. God. I don't want to talk about him anymore. I'm fucking sick of talking about him already. He's same as the EC3 thing. He's made me angry. Fucking pissed me off. Fucking Lars Sullivan, die in a hole, mate. Well, don't die in a hole, obviously. I don't condone him dying, but he fucking needs a serious reality check.
Right. So, should we move on to the final thing in our list?
Yes, we shall. Mr.
Right.
Gonna call you Mr. No. Mr. Michael Cole or Michael Cole.
I like him. Just getting that out of the way.
Yeah, Joe likes Michael Cole. Why don't you explain why you like Michael Cole, Joe?
Well, it's weird because obviously I'm more of a WWE fan than any other promotion. So I grew up with Michael Cole, and I just think he's very wholesome. You know, he's a nice guy. And I just obviously he's not the best commentator all the time. I just he's very interactable face. He's very recognizable with the company at this point. And he's just not very opinionated, and he doesn't yell into the mic like some wrestlers do. Corey Graves. But I
See, Michael Cole is not my favourite. I might have said this already on the podcast. I don't know if I have, but I don't like Michael Cole. I think he is a shocking announcer. I think he doesn't bring anything to the table other than trying to snarkily correct things that are already right. He I don't know. Like he just acts like a dick. Like he pisses me off. Like he's so bland and boring. It's like he's supposed to be the play-by-play, so I can understand him being a bit bland and not really having a huge amount to say, right? But baby, he doesn't shut up, and that's his problem. He doesn't shut up. His style of commentary is uninteresting and boring, and like he tries to correct people on things that are already correct. I said that. Like he does it to Corey Graves a lot of the time. Like he's awful. I fucking hate him. Now, Joe, I don't know if you are speaking, but I can't hear you. I'm sure you'll probably pick up on the recording, but I'd hope you would. But yeah, I hate Michael Cole. I hate him. Pisses me off. But yes, if honestly, right, if I were to think of like better commentators, I'd probably be here all day. Gorilla Monsoon, Jesse the Body Ventura, Jim Ross. Jim Ross was his predecessor. Jim Ross was leaps and bounds better. Even when he left, like Jim Ross was still better than Michael Cole. Like Michael Cole, when he was just on SmackDown, it was fine. Now he's not on every show now, but when he was back in like the 2010s, obviously he's what Joe would have grown up with, him and Jerry the King, and maybe JBL as well. Oh, it used to rile me. It used to rile me up so much, especially when it was those three, because other than Jerry the King Lawler, none of them are very good. Like even Jerry the King Lawler, like he's not very funny, but he wasn't terrible on the mic. I think he was a decent heel commentator. But I don't know what it was. I just hated it. Anyway, I think might have to wrap up because we are having some technical difficulties. Me and Joe are unable to hear each other at the minute because what we are recording with, which is we're recording over Discord, it is not working spectacularly. Yeah, it.
I can hear you now.
There you go.
Well, not happened there.
It's fixed now, thankfully. I do hope this doesn't cause a problem with like the recording, you leaving and rejoining. I hope so. But yeah, what I pretty much was saying was Michael Cole. I just don't like him. Like he's just bland. He's boring. He tries to he's really like snarky. Like he tries like correcting people on things that are already right. And I don't get it. I don't know why he decides that is going to be his character trait. But like there's so many better commentators I could think of. Like honestly, it's going to sound like, because obviously you were saying you don't like Corey Graves. I actually prefer Corey Graves to Michael Cole because Corey Graves,
really,
at least he has passion for the product. Yeah, I feel like I've just stumbled on the words. He has passion for it. Like he doesn't even scream that much. Like he
does.
I think people who are worse for it are like Mauro Ranallo. Like Mauro Ranallo, he will scream every single move that's happening on the screen.
That is true.
But like Yeah, I don't really mind Moro. Like, I think Moro is actually a decent commentator, but I think Corey can be a bit of a pain sometimes. Like he's obviously he's obviously the color commentator. He's not like the play-by-play guy. Like, I think Tom Phillips is better than Michael Cole. Honestly, I think Tom Phillips he's closer to Michael Cole than he is Corey Graves. In that, like, he's very boring. He's very bland. Like, he's a bland-looking man. Like, he's not just a bland commentator. He's a bland man. Like, he just looks like the most average man. Like, have you seen him? He just looks like, well, yeah. When you think of like a regular person, he's genuinely one of the people I think of. Like, he just looks like a regular guy that you would see on the street.
But no, yeah. So I mean, I like Michael Cole because he's a very well-rounded person, but I think it's more of an opinionated thing where it's like who you prefer, really. Because
Yeah, I think
obviously,
maybe because like I watch like a lot of like older wrestling, so like I'm obviously I know like JR and like JR and Jerry the King Lawler, like those two, I prefer. I'd much prefer those over like Michael Cole, Corey Graves, and Byron Saxton. Because, God, the commentary in WWE these days is awful. So bad.
It's not great.
It has been for a while. Like, after the brand split, I would say it probably got worse. Because, like, Raw had to keep going through, like, different people to do it. Because Raw... I remember... I think it was... After the brand split, they didn't have a play-by-play guy. Because the play-by-play guy in Michael Cole left to go do SmackDown. So Raw had to make do with Jonathan pissing Coachman. Like... Oh my God, you couldn't find anybody. So you went with the coach. Oh, he was shit. Like, he was worse than Michael Cole, because Michael Cole's biggest crime is just being boring and being a bit of a dickhead sometimes. The coach was just rubbish. He was, same as Michael Cole, he was boring, but not only that, he was he didn't know half the things he was saying. He stumbled over his own words. He couldn't take a joke on commentary, which I think Michael Cole sometimes suffers from as well. Like...
Yes, a few times.
Oh, he was rubbish.
He was rubbish.
But yeah, all in all, I don't like Michael Cole. Joe seems to. Obviously,
I do, yeah.
he's allowed to like what he likes. I'm allowed to like what I like. But those...
Yeah, I mean, I won't go out and like hate you for not liking Michael Cole, but it's all about opinion, really.
I might hate people for thinking Ricochet's the fucking bee's knees, but that's neither here nor there. But I think we can say those safely are our wrestling answers for the week.
Yeah, that's all.
Now, obvious. Oh, that. Do you just say that's a whap? Like that's a whap?
No, I said that's how we'll pop.
Oh, I thought you said that's a whap. Like that's a rap.
That's gonna be perfect. I'm saying that next week.
Oh, Jesus!
Like fucking Bugs Bunny. Oh my God, that's a whap,
folks.
Oh my God.
Oh, I can't believe
I really
I'm
like
giving you that idea.
You genuinely have. But no, oh yes, oh my God.
So it's been a longer episode this week.
Yeah.
Than it was
definitely.
last. I think this one's clocking in at about 2 hours actually.
Yeah, about there.
But obviously we did have that small technical hiccup just. I will have to obviously listen back to the recordings to see if I have to cut it or not. And then, because obviously, we talked about it after we managed to get here and back. But yeah. If there are technical faults in this episode, I apologise. Obviously, we're doing the best we can because we can't
we both apologise.
Yeah, we can't record together just yet. The date we are recording this, the 2 people from different households rule hasn't come into effect just yet, so it is actually against the law for us to record in the same place. But hopefully, once that day has passed, actually, the day this goes out, we should be able to record together.
Oh.
Again? Well, not again, but obviously for the first time, we'll be able to actually record it together in the same place. The day this has gone out, so obviously it does date this recording a little bit, but yeah, it's fine. But yeah, I think that about wraps it up for this week.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for having me on again.
It's my pleasure as always.
Great.
And yes, thank you guys for watching. Oh well, listening rather than watching. But thank you guys for listening, bearing through our drivel for 2 hours. Our wrestling answers.
Technically say wah.
Well, yeah, it's wah. Our was.
Thank you for our was.
Thank you for listening to our was. And yes, hopefully we'll see you guys for next week's episode. I don't know what's going to be in next week's episode, so don't ask me. Don't ask me what's going to be in next week's episode because I don't know. I'll probably just tell you something that's not going to be in it. Like I'll be like, "Oh yeah, we're going to talk about
Hell in the Cell.
We're going to talk about 1988 Starcade, which neither of us have watched."
No.
Yeah, no. God, no. Lumberjack matches is like the bottom of the barrel. When we've really run out, then we'll go to lumberjack matches. So expect lumberjack matches next week then. We'll see you guys next week. Have a good one. And goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.